you know, you want to enjoy your journaling, both the process as well as looking back on it. And so if there is something that is to be learned from certain things that you enjoy more than others, then why not take note of that and keep sort of struggling your way towards a more joyful journaling process. Hello, sweet friend. My name is Micah, and in this video, I want to do some journaling in my Hobonichi Daily Journal. And although I call it a daily journal, I often journal in it every 2 to 3 days. I like to sort of batch them together like that, but I do keep a daily record in my 5-year journal, so I do have that information at hand if I need to reference it. And what I do is I do write on the core memory that I want to journal about on the top here with pencil. And so that helps me to keep track of what I want to dedicate the page to. And then because I have more than 2 to 3 days in this journal session to catch up on, I also already went ahead and printed out some photos and gathered some ephemera bits that I want to include. And so I've prepared another layer of the page already, and that way this is hopefully going to be not so overwhelming, because that obviously can happen if you don't do it daily, but you sort of do it every now and then. It can easily sneak up on you just how many days you are behind, and then it can get stressful. And although I've noticed that I do like that little bit of pressure from the dated pages, there's a difference between having that little bit of pressure versus feeling actually stressed out. And I think I've said that before, that I don't want my journaling to feel pressured. And so I try to keep a balance there. And of course, with anything in journaling, do whatever works for you. If you want to leave pages empty, that is also totally fine, of course. Because I'm trying to show myself that even though I live a pretty quiet life, that there is things every day that are worth noting and worth noticing, I am trying to fill something in every day, because to me personally, that is what I want to have this journal be about. And so that's what I'm trying to do. So here on this page, we have a cute photo of my husband. We went to a fall market in a town nearby with my in-laws, and my mother-in-law wanted to also go into this boutique. And while we were looking around, my husband just sort of sat down, and when I looked over to him, it just kind of looked so cute that he was sitting there surrounded by all this chaos of the clothes, and he was just sitting there comfortably. And I actually bought a little house plant at that market, and so he was holding it, and I thought that was really cute. And this cat is actually a sneak peek of the Cat Collage Club October collection. I drew her up. I really like that cute little outfit with the dress and the cardigan, and so she sort of represents me going on that fall festival, even though I was not dressed that cutely, but we'll pretend, right? There can be a little bit of play pretend in a journal. I think that's quite fun and whimsical. Yeah, and that's just the sticker from the plant, and maybe we can just add a little bit of watercolor here momentarily. And so then for the 18th, I thought it would kind of be fun to include a picture that I had taken for Instagram, for my Cat Collage Club Instagram account. Over the years, I've drawn quite a few cats in coats, and I've just started to realize that I really like drawing coats. There's just something about the shape of them, the silhouette of coats, that I really like. And so I pulled out a bunch of cats just sort of from the library to sort of put them together. I thought that was quite cute. And so I think it's quite fun to include things from social media, either from things that we encounter or read or that speak to us. But whenever I look through my Instagram feed, not the feed, if it's your own Instagram account, it's not called the feed, right? Your own photos that you've posted. Is it? Is it called the feed? Well, it's sort of, in a way, it's also a journal, right? It's the things that you posted and when you posted them and what you were working on. If you do show your work on social media or what your family was up to. And so, yeah, I thought it would be quite fun to also include that here in the physical journal and not just have that digitally. So yeah, that's quite fun. And then, yeah, I did bring some water and some watercolors. And then I also have my Tombow markers, which I've been loving using, just sort of adding little splashes of color. Maybe I can, well, here I sort of did just a border with colors and made a, highlighted a quote here, but then they were more like here, just adding little splashes of color like that, and then just blending them with water. I think that's quite fun. And here's maybe a little bit more of an more easily visible example of what I mean. And I used to do that way back in the day. But yeah, been sort of getting back into it. Do you ever have that where you have sort of like almost like a phase where you do something in the way you decorate your journal and then you kind of forget about it? But yeah, I've been rediscovering that. And yeah, recently my Tombow collection grew. Yeah, they're just my favorite markers, even though I think I've said that before too. I do like the Crayola Super Tips, especially because they're so affordable. That's so great, but sometimes they are quite saturated, and so if you want to play around with a couple more muted colors, then you know, that's maybe the way to go. And so usually what I'll do is just start with one color, and then you just scribble, scribble, scribble. And then, where did my brush go? I did pull it out, didn't I? Yes. I just used this little small travel brush. I like to use that even when I'm at home and not traveling, but... Oh, and of course, you can also, I also have my water brush here. Actually, let's do that. Because sometimes it's a little easier to, I don't know, then I don't overdo it with the water. And that blue is a lot more saturated. I was hoping that was a little more like that, so maybe I will include some watercolor because here, I just happen to have some ollie colors that might actually go well with this. This sort of auburn, not auburn, aubergine color, like eggplant, purpley. I can do some of that. Now this is more muddy than I was hoping to do there, so maybe we can grab a very vibrant, a more vibrant pink to sort of introduce a little bit of saturation in here. I don't think that blue was a good choice. I should have gone with a purple. Maybe I'll let that dry and go over it a little bit more to try and rescue that. And then here, maybe we just leave this monochrome with just purples and pinks to not be too crazy. Because that's something that I've noticed where I sometimes struggle when I do this kind of adding the colors. Is I go too crazy and then it just distracts from the elements, from the main elements on the page. Yeah. And then of course once I add the writing, and I might go back in with stickers too. So usually when I approach these pages, I put the main elements down, and then I decide on background colors, and then I go in with smaller ephemera bits like stickers, and I tend to add the writing last. Yeah. Okay, well I'm not happy at all about this here, but I think I'm gonna let that dry first before doing anything else. And so then I think I'm also gonna skip this page for now so that this can dry. I did already put in the journaling here. That was my brother's birthday, and this is such a goofy such a goofy picture of my brother doing the duck face. And this is also a sneak peek at what's coming in Cat Collage Club in October. Just some cats dressed up as mushrooms and a witchy cat. Super cute. And so on this page, I was working on Cat Collage Club collage sheets all day, and instead of focusing on the fact that I was drawing and working all day, I figured I want to highlight what I've been working on. And so something in this collection is that it's very folksy, and there's a lot of like woodland elements, and of course with Halloween coming up, we have some costumes and things like that, and I've been really enjoying these color palettes and these sort of quirky, or not quirky, well yeah, maybe quirky things. So I don't know if I want to combine the witch and the mushrooms, or if I want to do just the mushrooms. Although then if I put both of them, I have very little writing space. So maybe we do one cat. Yeah. Maybe we do this one, the witchy one, and then we can include these mushrooms. And then I had also designed a little washi strip that goes with the colors. Yeah, we could do it like that. I have been on most of the pages, I have been also playing around with sort of keeping it within the grid. You know how there's a little bit of a line here, the two columns, and so then I could write in the column here, but then this column is sort of taken up by the image mostly. Yeah, that looks nice, doesn't it? And then do we want some background color for this as well? Maybe we pick up a little bit of that sort of sagey green. I love a sagey green, and I love that Hobonichi this year had so much with that color. I think they also had like a leather cover in this color, and I think they called it water green, which is also a very nice way of saying or naming this color. Okay. And then maybe we add in also some of that brown color. Just like so, for a little bit of fun variation. Yeah. And I think that's enough. Or do we want to also put some green down here? Maybe. Balance it out a little bit. I like when I do these colors, I often do a thing where it's almost like a bookmark or parentheses. So there's a color area here and then a color area here, and then it seems to hold the overall page design together. You know, then there's the sticker and the writing. Does that make sense? Okay, well, I guess I'll have to let that dry too before I stick these things down. Okay, well maybe we can, oh, this is already dry. Well, good. So maybe I'll add color to this page too. I did write this with a waterproof ink. This is a Diatramentis, no, that's not true. Octopus Fluids Meerkat. No, there needs to be a blue meerkat, I think, maybe, or gray meerkat. And it is waterproof, and it is this blue-gray. I think it's quite nice. It's a very subtle ink, and sometimes you almost think it leans into a purple. So it's a very warm blue-gray, if that makes sense. And so we should be able to go over this without the ink smudging. I think this line of inks is fairly new by Octopus Fluids, and I ordered this blue-gray. I also ordered 2 different browns and a black, just to see how it compares to other waterproof inks that I've tried out, mostly Diatramentis document line. I like those inks as well. And often I just like the waterproof inks, one for this kind of thing, so you're free to go over something you've written with some watercolor, but then also because I like drawing with those inks, and then adding watercolor as a coloring to drawing. So it's nice to have. Now, was that pink not a good choice? No, I think it's going to be fine. It's not going to be too much. These stickers obviously are very bold, so I want to be careful not to make it too crazy. I think that's enough. Yeah, that's very wet. That's kind of what happens whenever I've noticed what happens a lot to me when I use a brush is that I tend to go way too wet. So I have a easier time with this for the backgrounds to not overdo it. But oh well. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's very wet. But the other side is dry, so I guess we can put the stickers down. How's your journaling going? Are you fully in the flow right now, or are you finding it difficult to keep up with your journals, or what's sort of your journaling season like right now? I feel like with all the new planners and journalings coming out, a lot of people are obviously thinking about their journals, their lineup, both for what's been working this year and what they want to maybe change for next year. So I feel like there's a lot going on there, which is kind of fun. I feel like, I think I mentioned that in a comment that I left on Susie from Susie's Tiny Desk. I'll leave her channel linked below. I love her art. She also makes collage sheets, and she has journal with me videos on her channel. And so she shared her Hobonichi haul yesterday, I think. For me, it was yesterday. And I mentioned to her in the comment that one thing that is so fun about the Hobonichi season, or all the hauls that people share, it's such a communal thing because it happens at a specific time, and a lot of people are ordering at the same time from a limited assortment of things to choose from, right? And so there's, I don't know, it's quite a communal experience, I feel like anyway. Maybe other people don't think that way about it, but... And yes, of course, it is very easy to get sucked into that experience and then get very influenced and maybe buy things that one doesn't need. So I'm also aware of the potential downfalls of a communal event that has such an impact. It's easy to get swept up in that, and that, of course, is just in general what makes consumerism so tricky. But anyway, that's maybe quite the soothing journaling content for now. Okay, I added a little bit of like almost like an apricot color just to warm it up a little bit. Yeah, that's quite cute. And then I can just add my journaling there. Just a very simple page. I like that quite a bit. I still feel like, and maybe this is not something to be worrying about so much, that there's still certain times where I feel like, oh, I figured out how I want my pages to look like in this journal. Like, for example, this, it's very, you know, there's some messy coloring, but overall it's pretty neat. Or if I want it more crazy and layered. I don't know if that makes sense. I hope I'm casting a lot of shadows. I hope that's okay. Well, this is somewhat smooth now. I don't know if you can see I think the camera washes it out quite a bit, but yeah. And then there's this other thing too, where it's sort of like, now I would like this as a spread to look more cohesive, but there's, you know, color palette wise, there's different things going on. But oh well, I think that is just something where I'm maybe starting to overthink it a little bit, and that is just, for it to work as a daily journal, I think I have to let go of a certain amount of perfectionism. And not that I want it to be perfect or that it needs to be perfect in any way. It's just that as a designer / illustrator, of course, there's a little bit of a innate drive to make things aesthetically pleasing, I would say. But then, you know, if I want that and make that a daily thing, then, I mean, you know, at some point you got to be honest with yourself with how much time you can spend on something like this. And so, yeah, gotta let it go at some point. Okay, I feel like this definitely needs some rescuing a little bit. So either I try to paint over this blue and make it lean way more into a purple. Maybe we try that first, because that's the fun thing about watercolors, of course, that you can tint things and lay over top of it. But of course, this is a fairly strong color, so we'll see. Let's mix together a nice purple that has a little bit of a punch to it. Let's see. Because of course you can also have it just turn even more muddy and dark and weird. I kind of wish I hadn't put that color there, but oh well. You gotta work with what you got. And maybe if I put some more stickers over it, then maybe we can bring this purple also on the other side. Tie that in a little bit. Maybe I like this sort of color layer better when it's more or less only the writing and not when it's combined with photos. I don't know. Not sure. Let's go over the date a little bit. I can still see that though. Yeah, still not loving it, but we'll see what happens when it dries and when I add more stickers. Speaking of stickers, I just started finally, after, I don't know, I've had this at least for a year, if not longer, finally started setting up this sticker release paper insert with cutting out some PET tapes and having those sort of ready at hand. And so far it's been really useful. And so I'm enjoying that quite a bit, and putting in stickers from sticker sheets and other little bits. This is printables from Erin Ware's Patreon. Just printed those out, and yeah, I have some more things to set up, but yeah, this has been really, really useful. So I'm glad I'm doing it, but also why didn't I do that sooner? But oh well. I think I need to close the blinds over there and let that dry, and I'll be right back. Okay, even with the blinds closed, we have a little bit of a spotlight over there. I hope that's not blinding you too much. So I let the watercolor dry, and then I added my journaling and added this washi tape as well as some stickers to try and see. Basically, I noticed that maybe the colors, they are a little bit too wild and maybe a little too dark. And so I was thinking, well, then maybe let's embrace it and just make it really full and colorful. And so that's why I added this washi tape on both sides to just, create a little bit of balance there, and just, go full on with all the elements. I'm still not quite sure if these are my favorite pages I've ever done, but that's okay. I think something too that I realized that I'm maybe not the biggest fan of is I had added with Tombow marker these green dots, almost like a polka dot, to just, I don't know, help my husband stand out against the backdrop, and then just, make it kind of fun. But maybe that color on this already super colorful photo isn't, I don't know if that's my favorite thing. But that's okay. They are done, and that's what matters the most. Another thing I was just thinking is maybe we do need a little bit of contrast. So I am wondering if I should just, with some black, introduce some black outlining to these photos. I'm just using this uni jet stream, just going around. Just make it like a scribbly frame. I don't know if it does anything. Maybe I'll just leave it as is and be okay with what it looks like right now. So those are those, and then I just added a little guitar tape down here. That's from this. I did that for my sister too, that on their birthday I sort of dedicate the page to them and just write about something that I love about them. So that's been really a meaningful way of using the journal pages too. And then here just filled in my journaling and added this stack of books from Erin Ware's printables. And so that's quite a sweet, simple page. And so I think here I guess the watercolor works because it is just so very light and faint, and this just creates an overall cohesive, soft, colorful look. So maybe that's what's different about this one versus this one, that this is just overall too dark and a little bit too much with the photos and everything. But again, I'm not trying to be negative here. But you want to enjoy your journaling, both the process as well as looking back on it. And so if there is something that is to be learned from certain things that you enjoy more than others, then why not take note of that and keep sort of struggling your way towards a more joyful journaling process. I guess that's sort of where I'm going with this. And then I do have the next 2 days also still left to go. Here I wanted to add some drawings. My husband surprised me with a new cassette for my cassette player. I've been really enjoying starting a cassette collection again, and so he bought Dirty Dancing, the soundtrack, for me on cassette on eBay. And so I had already done the pencil sketch, and then this was yesterday. We bought a comfy chair for my office at a garage sale, so I sketched that in, and so I have to still do the line art and add some color, but I think seeing how much time we already spent together, maybe I'll leave it at that. But yeah, so I'm a lot more caught up now than I was before, so that's great. Thank you so much for sharing this time with me. I hope you either get some of your own journaling done, or at least got to relax and enjoy a little bit of stationary journaling goodness. I know sometimes if I'm, too tired or whatever to journal, it's quite fun to at least watch somebody else journal and enjoy all the fun things that are journaling related. So yeah, either way, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, happy journaling.